15. He gets to go to school 1 day a week now. They just start Fairfax County because he's in JROTC.
Yeah.
So they get to go on Monday for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
He came home this Monday. He's like, because he got to go.
Well, my
out,
son had the same thing. They
go
did
to
the thing
school.
where they're like, one of your son's teachers is trying this pilot program.
Right.
So my son is downstairs, and I'm like, hey, there's a chance that you might be able to go to in-class for, and I just hear this, yes! They're ready to get out. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm Julia, by the way.
Kristen.
With Medill.
Oh, okay. Kristen, Cena.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, he was happy to get out of the house. What school district are you guys in?
We're Fairfax City.
Okay, so we're Fairfax County. And for gym class, the teacher goes, all right, go outside and exercise for an hour. So I wonder how many kids are actually doing it.
Well, I will say that every school day, not talking about today, somehow my 17-year-old son, has become like the Pied Piper of the kids in the neighborhood.
Oh,
and
right.
everybody has like 12, 11 team, and like we just descend on the house. And so they'll run around and like parents are like, eat a sandwich, and they're like running by
Yeah.
and stuff. And then as soon as school gets over, it all
They're
comes
outside.
in, and they usually at some point they'll say, can we order this, or can I get something this way? Order something this way. And like, one day I was out waiting to leave, but they all got out of school and they filed it to leave. And back in. And then one day they came out, and I was lined up like a dozen years ago, and I grabbed them, and I was like, run! And then they all grabbed one and just
It's
scattered.
like, what was the Hunger Games, right?
Yeah. And we got flashlights. When it got dark. Here.
I can.
Yeah, except for the one in the middle. That's not.
I'm just saying, her well, I would talk to your, I've not been on the but
Let's see.
not,
Can I share?
I was not here for the first time because it was
Right.
I was here when probably the first time.
Are they nice?
Nice to see happiness in the midst of all this.
Listening to this, and doing it, I mean, yes, it was muffled, but the other problem was, it sounded like there were these shorts. Until, I mean, that sounded like an audio problem, and until I heard it, I didn't know, so you mentioned, I hadn't thought about it, and I don't know if it was cool or a line,
Okay.
microphone, or.
Hello.
I don't know. And I will, I'll listen to the tape again, because I will
Lovely.
today, and if it's a problem, I will raise it with the, say there's conversation.
Having a hurricane here today.
Right?
But that
All my
sounded
friends
to me like
in Louisiana and Mississippi, they always get it in a couple of days. I mean, they get it much worse than we do, obviously, but I'm like, why did you send the rest of the rain up here? Just keep it down there. Yes. Go outside, you're high.
Yeah. I got used to no, I used to cover so many hurricanes. I got to know like
I did not hear it in the audio.
when a hurricane's approaching, I would park my car on the leeward side of the building and then move it to the other side after
Yeah, I like, we were at solar or something during so the arena was shelter, you know? And I was just standing outside in the loading dock.
So did you send out the email?
Here's the building, we're in the corner.
We finalize our time sheets? Oh.
And you're like,
Tomorrow's Friday. I haven't
from the
gotten a
100-mile-an-hour
reminder
wind.
yet.
it's just amazing.
You just forward the reminder. Do you like the new Paycom thing?
For 75% of hurricanes ever occurred,
Oh.
they came in.
Yeah, you just, it's easy, just set up the app. It's like, you just have to enter your information, and everything's transferred over.
Oh, man.
Amy sent you, I think she sent some kind of code or something.
I forgot to do that.
Handled it, and they were only.
No, you need to do that.
Get a big one.
The worst part is the hurricanes that hang around for a while. Yeah, and they do so much flooding. Covered Hurricane Hugo 3 times. Well, Caribbean someplace, I can't remember where it was, Santo Domingo. Then we went to, and we got ahead of it and went to, I think, Jacksonville or north of Jacksonville,
Right.
Tybee Island or something. And then went up to North Carolina.
You guys were working.
Huh?
You guys were working, man.
Working. At the film days too. It was huge.
How did you travel?
I don't remember.
I was gonna say, because you're out on the island, and it's coming in.
We were covering, I think at the beginning, the first stop, we were doing all the preparation.
Then you
And had
jumped
some
ahead,
storm,
yeah.
but it didn't hit.
Oh, right.
That was the same thing.
Just missed or
Yeah.
something.
On the prep. Speaking of prep, have you seen them boarding up downtown?
Yeah, for next week.
Mm-hmm. Boarding up my house.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, my friend had a bar up in Adams Morgan called Rebellion,
Mm-hmm.
and during the protest.
Ironic.
Yeah. Well, their window got busted out.
How are you?
He's ATM.
That's a good app.
Thank you.
Andrew. And he's like,
Billy.
it's a scratch, you know. He goes,
You
what
know.
made me mad was that they were so
We are.
dumb is that they
Really enjoyed the walk up.
took the cheap whiskey.
Which one?
The walk up.
And
walk up to here?
Oh, yeah,
no, it's not like-
I know.
Sounds like Drew to invite early
Biggest
morning
stuff
phone
there.
calls.
He goes,
Maybe something could
well, we're out there biggest presses and
Well,
stuff,
you
and they're
know,
going through all the effort.
I'm here for
Even
the
with
American
COVID,
people
they
to
got 'em.
inform them.
The city opening and closing them, they had.
I'm glad it had letterhead
Yeah,
on it,
down
'cause I
for
thought it
good.
was going to release the press release.
They spent like $60,000 in,
Much like you
during
did
the
calling
COVID
letters.
period, trying to keep it
Right.
open, pay all the employees
Or
and stuff.
polling memos.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah, they've got
But you know what?
3 other places that we're doing fine outside of DC. And, so they just said, you know what, that was our first one, but we're closing it down, which is sad.
Power out in Silver Spring.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
there was. It was, 6 o'clock this morning. I got nothing I can do. Can't go running.
Come back out.
Was it,
like,
your power's out this morning?
Yeah, not for like, well, it's only 45 minutes. It felt like forever. You can't run when the power's out?
Yeah, I was
I
just.
can't run when it's raining.
Are we
I
doing
was
a
watching
fast
Morning
rotation
Joe, hoping
thing?
Jay would be there.
I was not on this morning.
You know?
I
Your
don't-
power
I'm
went
not-
down.
I'm not
Jake has
leaving
bills he
early,
needs
so-
to pay, and, you know,
Really?
I thought he'd be on
Photo
Morning
tourist.
Joe.
No, I
Come
was,
in.
this morning I was chasing my
Well,
children around the house.
Oh, good.
Right.
And you got the run in.
We don't have too many people.
You
What?
got to go for a run.
Yeah, right around my house. Our numbers are part of the total makeup.
Right.
And if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 missing. See my point?
I mean, you get to look forward to the
I
days
see
where
it.
I
So
go
we're
with
gonna,
my
we
son-
have
my
3
son's
people
up
out there, so we'll just
10 or
rotate
12
through in
times.
10 or 15
Who do you
minutes,
think
we'll
you
bring
broke up
another
to
3
sleep?
in,
Who are
okay?
the other 3, Jeff? Yeah.
We have,
You know,
Greg Nash,
Montgomery County
Okay.
is
we
not.
have Tom Brenner from Reuters,
fast
and then
track back
Angel,
to
Nolly,
this
who I don't know.
But my kid had to.
I don't
work out
mind
at
rotating out
6:15 or
because
6:30.
I gotta get this stuff out and I have a call.
I don't know what
I have to get on.
But there's only 3, so we can,
Let me ask you
Yeah,
something.
I mean,
Since there's
usually
1,
it also-
2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Get up,
chairs
and then
open.
you go back down, and you go, next time I'm coming
Isn't,
in
aren't we
with a
looking
pitcher
at
of
a
ice cold
total
water and
number
dumping
of
it on
people
your
in
head.
tough
And
load.
This sounds like me getting my
Okay.
wife.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
not.
this is
I don't wanna
I've
be here.
done that
I would
one
be at
time
home
where
right
I
now if it
walked
wasn't for
in,
this fucking thing.
didn't get up, and
You
I
guys,
was
no one can rotate and
Well,
stuff,
well,
I'm done with
well,
this,
well,
okay,
well,
so,
well,
I'm done
Now
with
they
this
can rotate.
rotating bullshit, okay?
The mics are hot. You can't make them.
Alright, well, I'm done with it, it's 5 people, we can rotate through.
Yeah, Rick can go get another note
Alright.
for us, Jeff, thank you. We'll take care of it.
Well, that's pretty damn fun things.
With helping.
It's better than that.
We'd all like to be at home too.
30 seconds each rotation.
I'd like to be at home too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it's just stuff.
Charging food right now.
Expenses.
Somebody at home, I have to do my lunch.
That's not an excuse.
IT, you know, IT assistant all day. It says I have to FTP. WTF.
I can't help you with that, dude.
That's by thinking about it.
Let me, yes, I'm here.
My wife shows 10 times to my wife today.
I'm here. Andy, do you think there's gonna be a COVID deal before the election?
I'm gonna have to check if I was able to.
Do you think that in the, if you brought the House back on Monday, you could get the bill passed?
And the Senate would come
And
in
the
and
Senate
see
would
it.
come back and do it.
Who are you here for?
That would be your answer. You can do it now.
You're here for the Times?
Scotty's working. Scotty's working.
I see that.
Watch him work.
This is what I'm saying. Every day.
Right.
Yeah, right. I got you.
On that lame duck deal, what concessions do you plan to make then that you aren't making now?
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Jeff said, how can Jeff not know who he works for? I don't know.
No, Tom wants to be in the second group.
Yeah,
Who
I'm
he
not.
did.
Yes.
I know Duncan.
Because then she does more of this.
I offered him if he wants to be in the first place, no, he told me I want to be in the second base.
But Tom should be in there anyway.
Yeah.
Tom should be in here the whole time.
Yeah, I agree.
Correct. It'll all be pretty early on Tuesday.
Did you see, Zeke Miller just tweeted that they noticed a Trump trip Sunday to Rome, Georgia?
What?
The FAA did. So that's where he's going on Sunday before election day to Georgia. I mean, they think that that he has a better chance of winning, that Biden has a better chance of winning Georgia than Florida.
That's probably right.
I saw the stat that Trump was also earlier this week, I think with Pelosi late night.
Decisions, decisions.
What's up, my neighbor?
I like your mask a lot.
Oh, thank you.
So nice.
Thank you.
I saw Darlene from AP.
Is anyone out there have pressing needs? Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Because of all the other events that are happening
Last time I
today.
saw you, I don't think
Hey,
since been.
this is
Oh, I
everywhere.
got my hair cut.
Oh, when did you get a cut?
Not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before.
Right, 'cause I was gone all last week for the
Debbie.
debate, yeah.
How was it October 29th?
I know, right? October's done.
Yep. At the same time, it feels very slow, but also
Right.
wicked fast.
Wicked fast, yes. We'll see. Next week will be interesting.
I know. I'm like trying to like hold on, like slow down.
Right?
Is your newsroom gonna be open on Tuesday?
Is everybody in
Um,
EPA like?
I was just told yesterday that the answer to that is
Jim,
yes.
Michael also have
but-
EPA?
Yeah, they sent them to us. But I mean, your mask is obviously
Not
better.
open to the, not
Is
open
it
to
like-
everybody, but open
Yeah.
to a small
Did
subset
yours
of.
like, does it have filter, like a way to put a
orders that
filter in it?
No,
crucial, I
it's
guess,
like
to,
double
you know,
thickness. I could probably put
various
one of those
functions
on.
of the newsroom.
Or like cut it open, or like,
but-
they have.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
turn
the
it here and like slide it
Problem
in.
is they can't have any conference rooms open because you can't.
I
sit
have
in
a bunch
the
that
conference
Scotty
room.
has.
Mhm.
And I'm quite stylish though.
That's what I was told yesterday. Or you have yours must be open.
Anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many people,
But that's nice, they send you those.
Yeah.
some of the key editors
Yeah.
and, the people who.
Yeah, I can't complain, they sent me.
things
Well,
going
in the
very
US, we got a
quickly.
bunch of those, like Scotty's.
solidified our role on election night in declaring, outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
These zombie calls early.
Remember you called Kerry or?
Oh my God, that was brutal.
Do you guys think that, with those Supreme Court decisions yesterday, do you think those will be revisited again before the election? Or depends how they bring them to the court, right?
I think it's wait till after the election.
Yeah, I agree. And which makes it more complicated, because then you're litigating
Because North Carolina.
based on on ballots that are coming, that have been cast, that are coming in.
Right.
And that's kind of like you have several Floridas, is what you have,
Right.
ballot 2000.
People just think like, I think like the public tends to think that like the Supreme Court, these cases automatically go to the Supreme Court if there's disagreements here, and it's just not, it's just not the reality, right?
Yeah.
There's many steps before that.
Yeah, because they were trying to get emergency ruling, right?
Right, I mean,
Going
but
through
there's
the
just,
process.
there are steps before that happens, you know?
I mean, think about, I remember the case David Boies in Tallahassee before the Florida Supreme Court in 2000. It was argued on like a Saturday.
She was in there, they were at 6, no, 6, for a couple of years. Good, I just heard it came on, so.
North Carolina, 9 days? 12 days?
Last time.
No, that they were, this, that they ruled on yesterday. They could come in.
Right, right.
Seemed like it was.
I live in California, and we have,
So like, you could send it in, like, way after the election.
well, in California, it's
North.
decided.
Well, yeah, California, that's what matters, right? Right, yeah. I lived out there for a long time.
I'm ready to. Maybe second. I hope out on that.
What's your home again? Right? Well, I was in Salt Lake City for the DP debate. It was smoky there.
Yeah. When I left, the sky was like still kind of red.
Yeah.
I can shoot something quick from there. I want to be, she gets the good questions.
Pros and cons about it.
Yeah.
Usually she lasts a half hour, 45 minutes. You want to do a thing later this afternoon? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm sitting here right now.
Yeah, it's like, just, you gotta be, you gotta be able, everything you do. What do you do on election day?
How many days in a row can you use Washington Pelosi?
You know, I skipped it one day.
You wouldn't want to hand it to me.
I skipped it, I didn't skip it today, but I skipped it one of these, one day
Right.
recently.
I think I might be in Delaware.
You know, if I were these,
Figured out. Yeah, that's fine. That's why I'd be helping these guys. Y'all live in Delaware?
I live on the street. I told you this before,
Yeah.
like,
tries to go across the road. It's like, no, go the other way.
I can make it.
You always go the wrong direction.
I know. You always look in your rearview mirror.
Good morning, everyone. Here we are, 5 days before the election. Our focus has been so largely on stopping and crushing the coronavirus. In terms of the election 5 days from now, we are confident, we are calm, and we are prepared. We are ready. We're ready to address the coronavirus in a way that is based on science, crushes the virus, and addresses the impact on the lives, the livelihood, and the life of our democracy. We are at a fork in the road. The path we have been on has taken us to a place where we're approaching 9 million infections. A path to 250,000 people who have died. A path that has taken us to tens of millions of people on unemployment, 8 million people falling into poverty, 17 million children food insecure, again, 23 million workers on unemployment. And the situation will worsen if we do not change our path. The HEROES Act has offered a path, science-based, well-funded, that honors our heroes, crushes the virus, and puts money in the pockets of the American people. I just recently, last night, or this morning, sent a letter to Secretary Mnuchin spelling out some of the concerns we are still waiting to hear back from the administration. In good faith, I believe both sides have gone to the table to discuss the priorities. 2 weeks ago, the Secretary said that he was willing to accept our testing language. He just wanted to make a light touch on the language. 2 weeks ago, the light touch was 55% of the language, largely eliminating our initiatives that addressed the disparities of the virus when it came to minority communities in our country. More people in the minority community, I am told, have died of the virus than those not in the minority community. I've said it before, if you're a black child, you have 5 times more chance of going to the hospital for COVID than if you're a white child. If you're Hispanic, 8 times more chance. It's sinful. It's sinful that we have not addressed protecting the lives of the American people on the path that this president has taken, starting with calling it a hoax, saying it's going to magically disappear. The list goes on. And even though in all of our legislation we have talked about testing as being a key to stopping the spread of the virus. So the letter is self-explanatory. It talks about state and local government. What is it? The statement that was even in the Wall Street Journal that said that state and locals face the biggest cash crisis. State and local governments face the biggest cash crisis since the Great Depression. And yet, the president mocks and says this is unnecessary for us to do. State and local government fiscal soundness is very important to our economy. Not only that, we want to honor our heroes. They're out there. They're fighting healthcare workers, first responders, police and fire, sanitation, transportation, food workers, our teachers, our teachers, our teachers. And the president says it's a matter of pride that he not support them. Then we have safe schools. Most of the schools in our country could be open actually if we would take the scientific approach. It takes money. It takes more money than they are willing to put up, and we're asking for their response in that regard. To have more space, therefore more teachers, ventilation, sanitation, technology, to enable our children to actually attend school. Children learning, parents earning, so parents can go to work. In the absence of that, we also want them to put more money for child care. If the children are not going to school, the parents cannot go to work unless we have more funding for child care, and they just will only go so far, and that's what we're asking them to go farther. Again, 8 million families, as the CARES benefits fade away, 8 million people, more people have fallen into poverty. There's a way out of that. Child tax credit, earned income tax credit. These are working poor people falling into poverty. And yet, the number they gave us back was 0. They admitted that 0 is not a number, even though they said they'd get back with a number. They don't hesitate to give $150 billion in tax credit, in a tax advantage to the wealthiest people in our country. And yet they refuse to help families from falling into poverty. And by the way, all of this is stimulus for the economy. Even if you don't care about people, as there's some question as to whether they do, you should understand that it is stimulus to the economy. People spend this money immediately, inject demand into the economy, create jobs. And that is what has helped the economy even in this third quarter. But now that money is fading. Unemployment insurance, we're still waiting for some of the response to the 5 million Americans who are exhausting their benefits. OSHA and liability. Safety in the workplace for us is not a subject, it's not a provision. It's not an item. It is a value. It is an ethic. Workers will be safe in the workplace. Especially in the time of a pandemic, where their exposure to it could not only make them sick, but also their families, if they bring that home. So we think that, we have a list of concerns. Just give us your answer. Then you can weigh the equities if we don't like this or we like that or whatever it is, and come to a conclusion. But we are ready. I feel very confident that Joe Biden will be elected president on Tuesday, whatever the end count is, but on the election that occurs on Tuesday, he will be elected. On January 20th, he will be inaugurated president of the United States. So while we don't want to be overconfident or assume anything, we have to be ready for how we are going to go down a different path. We've come to a fork in the road when it comes to the coronavirus. The president has taken us on a deadly path. The HEROES Act takes us on a scientific path to help save the lives, the livelihood, and the lives of the American people. So it's interesting to see how many people are turning out, voting in advance. It's a real, whoever they're voting for, it's a joy to behold people exercising their civic duty, honoring the sacred right that we have to vote in our democracy. It is appalling to see the obstacles to participation that the Republicans and the president are putting in the way. We complain when other governments try to undermine the integrity of our elections or the credibility of our elections. That's one country and another, credibility or integrity of our elections. But it's appalling when the President of the United States contributes to that placing doubt onto the credibility of our elections. And to have a president who has said he may not accept the peaceful transfer of power. All the more reason for us to thank God for the courage of these people going out there to vote, waiting hours in line, because the Republicans refused to put money in this, any of the legislation that we have had to the extent necessary to make sure that when people vote, there's ample space, there's ample to facilitate. It's a discourtesy to the American people to say, you go stand in line for hours. We can do something about it, but your time is not worth anything to us. So again, this weekend shall be very interesting to see how many more people will vote in advance. I hope that people will not depend on the mail because they have done all they can to dismantle the postal system, but I salute our postal workers, our letter carriers, and those who are making the best of the situation. But even the Postal Service is saying it's too late now to mail. A first-class piece of mail to take more than 5 or 6 days to reach its destination is that speaks for itself. So here we are, and it's a remarkable, remarkable experience that our country has been through. Hundreds of thousands of people dying, millions infected, joblessness raging, poverty rates going up, 17 million children food insecure. And just to say something about women, in September alone, nearly 1 million people, 1 million women left the workplace. 1 million women left the workplace. And what's the president's message to women? We're getting your husbands back to work. Well, factually, it isn't even true, but in addition to that, what decade is he living in? What century is he living in? So completely removed from the realities of life, and that has caused death. With that, any questions you may have?
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Matt?
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for taking my question. You said you're confident in Joe Biden on Tuesday here. I want to kind of ask you to look into the future a little bit on coronavirus, but other issues that could come up here. You always talk about your caucus and the beauty in the mix here. There's a lot
That's
of
right.
diverse opinions.
That's right.
Do you think, though, that that could be a problem, whether it be on coronavirus or some of these other legislative initiatives, environment, voting rights, John Lewis, those things, where it's pushed too far and that there is a schism between more moderates in your caucus and liberals,
No.
and what they intend to do, and why?
No,
Why?
no, I don't. Our caucus has a beautiful array of thinking of generational, gender ID, ethnic background, geographic differences, and the rest. But the one thing that unites us is our commitment to America's working families. And that means our children, their health, their education, the economic security of their families, a clean, safe environment, including gun safety, in which they can thrive, in a world at peace, in which they can reach their fulfillment. So again, we don't, any of us want to lead or represent a caucus that is lockstep caucus. We invite the exuberances, the differences of opinion, and we do not see that as a problem. We see that as an invigoration. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Speaker, the economy grew at an annual rate of 33.1% in the third quarter. Does President Trump deserve any credit for that?
The CARES Act deserves credit for that. We had lost ground in the second quarter. This barely makes up for that. And the CARES Act deserves credit for injecting the resources into the economy, whether it's then in our subsequent CARES and the subsequent PPP. So it's as if somebody used an example this morning, as if you lost $100 in the second quarter, and now you're making up $65. Glory, hallelujah. No, and if we don't pass a recovery bill, a COVID-19 bill, that we will face dire circumstances as well. So yes, Congress and the administration work together in a bipartisan way to pass the CARES Act as well as subsequent legislation to inject resources into the economy. The lack of doing that this time is going to take us back down to another path. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If you are correct that Joe Biden is going to be elected, you're still going to confront a balance of power with President Trump and a Republican Senate for the lame duck. Would that not argue for you to take a somewhat smaller bill that the system can produce in the lame duck and then get the rest when Biden is president?
This is not a small, we're not talking size, we're talking quality. And we are not going to take a small bill that has the bulk of reinforcing funds to the richest people in America while questioning the integrity of people on unemployment insurance. So I want a bill for two reasons. First and foremost, the American people need help. They need real help. And second of all, we have plenty of work to do in the Joe Biden administration. We're going to build the infrastructure of America in a green way. We're going to make sure health care is available to all Americans, lower the cost of prescription drugs. We're going to have HR 1 right off the bat be about cleaner government so that we can reduce the role of big, dark, special interest money that prevents us from having policies that the American people need and are have doubts that we can do unless we reduce the role of big, dark money. And we have a number of bills that we have passed that we'll be ready for. Of course, this will be impacted by the Joe Biden agenda. His Build America Better is similar to our Moving America Forward, but nonetheless, we'll be working in between the White House and the Congress to get those jobs done. So we want to have as clean a slate as possible going into January. We will have to do more on the coronavirus to make sure that the vaccine, God willing, will be available, and that we'll take resources to make sure it's available to everyone, not just those in a position to pay for it. So yeah, no, why would we be talking to them if we didn't want a bill other than our HEROES Act 3.4 billion, which is what the American people need.
They say you need to show more flexibility.
We're not going to go to anything like Mitch McConnell has. People are hungry. People on the verge of eviction. People need money in their pockets. We have enormous challenges there. They don't believe in governance. They don't like the public role in helping people, and they don't believe in science. So they ignore the recommendations of science for masking, for testing, tracing, treatment, separation, ventilation, sanitation. We are in a terrible place, and it was a decision. It was a decision made by this President of the United States. So we have to have enough money to address that, and we still haven't gotten the yes from the White House on that subject. So again, it has to be about the quality of what it is yet. It's not just something to say, we surrender. They surrender to the virus. We're not surrendering to it.
Speaker?
Yes, sir.
How do you think about the increasing corporate taxes, given the state of the economy in a first couple months of the Biden, if there is a Biden presidency in the first couple months?
Well, why don't we wait until we win the election, we have our transition, and the President of the United States puts forth his agenda. I always have thought that when we do major tax policy, we should try to do it in its most bipartisan way possible. Contrary to the dark of night, speed of light passage of a bill that gave 83% of the benefits to the top 1% in our country, and then they reinforce that in the CARES Act in the dark of night as well. So it's not a question of having that discussion here. I think there's a large, quite an agreement that we should have brought down the corporate rate, but we should not have given away the store at the expense of America's working families. Okay, that's it. Thank you all very much.
As a Giants fan, what do you think about the Dodgers winning the World Series? Can you abide that?
I'm California, you know, so, while the Giants first, I'm happy with it. I'm sad about the little confusion at the end there, but, it was great. It was great to see. Lakers, Dodgers, I mean, come on.
But isn't it great to watch sports? Because it just takes your mind away. You forget your differences with other people, it's just like the arts. It's just therapeutic in that it not only entertains. And what I like about sports, it's about numbers. And I'm all about numbers. Whether it's elections or votes on the floor, but sadly, the numbers in this case, because of this president's failure, are so staggering and sad, and they compel us, it is imperative that we act on a different path than where the president has taken for the children. Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's right, we gotta make.
Andy, I'll listen. That's what that's a different issue.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Well, I forgave you if I had a little time there. Laid out. Next time was the tax law.
Yep. All right, because it's gonna be bipartisan.
Girl in Canada. Right, I mean, she did go through all that stuff.
Yeah, she did.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.